and you take away the price change, this was a period of declining price, and again, that's the major factor. The simple message being, you know, buy when the price is low and sell when the price is high. So, hey guys, now's the time to be buying. So finally, the impact on the Middle East. As I've said, the impact is somewhat cushioned from what's going on in the rest of the industry. Because it's mainly NOC dominated, because it's got the major competitive advantage of being the lowest cost producer, because it's been able to control its OPEX, because it's been able to squeeze the service sector, business is still, you know, ticking over here. It's really not bad. So the major impact is on the NOCs and the government revenues. And the top right-hand chart essentially shows the 2016 fiscal deficits as a percentage of GDP. And essentially shows that all countries apart from Kuwait and the UAE will fail to balance their fiscal budgets this year. Now the lower chart shows the oil price required for these countries to achieve a fiscal balance. And as you can clearly see, this is way above the current prices. So governments obviously face a difficult choice of cutting back spending, raising taxes, or depleting the money reserve funds. Now, some countries obviously have very large reserve funds and can stay in this for quite a considerable amount of time, 4, 5, 6 years, probably in Saudi's case, but others cannot, and you're already seeing signs of cuts in capital spending, increasing taxes, reducing subsidies. You know, they're going to cut where they need to cut, there's no doubt about that. So the key impact is really on the governments. And, you know, one of the major messages is really that the region does need to take seriously the need to diversify. I don't know off the top of my head, I'll have to go back and have a look. In the 90s, when we were sort of low oil prices, I think they were just about balancing the budget. I mean, I don't know, we've got people from the region. Anyone remember? There were deficits in the time. Okay, there you go. So, yeah. But for how long? How sustainable were they? How long did the deficit last? A few years, okay. Yeah. I mean, the point is some countries can obviously run a deficit. You know, if you've got enough reserves, then that's fine. But at some point, and I'm going to come on to that a little bit later, you're going to need to change. Okay. So is it Back to the Future or deja vu? Essentially, Back to the Future films gave us a glimpse of how the future might be different, whilst deja vu is it's the same old movie, just on repeat. This chart in the top right essentially overlays the price fall in 1985, 1986, 1987, and I can't even read it, 1988. And then side by side, we just overlaid 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017. So you can see 85, 2014 to 86, 2015, as I said before, exactly the same percentage drop in the oil price. Back in 87, the oil price went up in the following year. In 2016, so far we've seen it going on lower. Now, we've still got a way to go, so we don't know where it will end up. It might end up flat. We don't know yet. But then, in terms of our own forecast, we're seeing it increasing for 2017, whereas back in 88, it then reduced again. And part of the reason for that is shown in the chart below, which is the sort of supply, it's essentially the market over supply. So again, it's the same years. So the first bars on the left are 85. Essentially, the market was undersupplied in 85. In 2014, it was oversupplied. There was a surplus. And then in 86, there was a large surplus because, you know, OPEC opened up the taps, and that's why you got the price fall. Similarly, in 2015, we've still got a surplus, which is why the price has fallen. But then going forward, in 87, the market was almost near balance, and the price went up. This is now our view, with Mackenzie's view. We think overall you're going to see the non-OPEC production decline this year. So you are going to end the year with an undersupply in terms of the overall supply and demand curve. So that's why we see going forward, we expect to see the price coming up. But as ever, it all depends on the actual price achieved. Now, I just want to leave you with one final thought, and this was the point I was coming to when you just said. So this is, just to complete the circle, this is Sheikh Yamani again, the Saudi oil minister from 62 to 86. And he said, 30 years from now, there will be a huge amount of oil and no buyers. Oil will be left in the ground. The Stone Age came to an end, not because we had a lack of stones. And the oil age will come to an end, not because we have a lack of oil. Anyone want to guess when he said that? So I can hear. What year? 85, 86? Well, not quite. 2000, okay. Now, do you know what the oil price was when he said it? $30 a barrel. And the year before that, it was $9 a barrel. $30 a barrel at that time was seen as ridiculously high oil price. So it just shows how things have changed in 15 years. Now, to leave on a positive note, as I said, I've seen 4 or 5 of these booms and busts. I think the industry is resilient enough, ingenious enough, clever enough, motivated enough to come through this. And we will come through it. And there will be another upturn. The only problem is in the next upturn, I might be retired. Okay, thank you very much. Any questions? Happy to. I probably need longer to take the
Gulf, where the oil prices has gone up for the consumer, and consumer countries, the prices has come down, but still for the consumer the prices go up. What is the relation of that? And what do you think? Why don't they reduce it? Like Europe, that's the place where...
You mean the products compared to crude?
No. The oil for the gasoline which we use for our car. In our country, the prices has gone up. And the places where they consume the oil, the price is still up. It's not come down drastically.
Yeah. And what's the reason for that? Yeah, the reason for that is governments want the tax. In the consuming countries, essentially, the price of fuel, I don't know all the different countries, but certainly for where I come from, the UK, 85% of the price the consumer pays for fuel is tax. It's very, very small parts related to the actual oil price.
Actually, a very interesting slide what you put together, and the data is very well put together, very useful. But to me, it's scary.
Too scary?
Yes. And actually looking at the future. One of the things is to cut down the capex to these huge projects. Over the years, we've been hearing about the gap between production and demand, not reserve. And to fill that gap between now and I think 2035, we're talking about a huge trillions of dollars need to be injected as capex to bring that down. Now, what you're saying is that we're cutting in projects, we're cutting on investment. So, are we coming to a crisis where one day we're going to wake up and we will have oil in the market to control the prices? But I'm not really worried about the high prices or anything else. And the second thing is which is a comment, but that's really my main question. In regard of the Stone Age ended, but we're still using stones. And I'm building a house. The most expensive part of my house was putting stones together.
Yeah, to address the first one is, this really shows that exploration isn't adding enough oil. So the first part is we need to do more exploration, and if we're stopping exploration now, there is going to be consequences, exactly as you say. And then this one essentially shows just on those projects which have already been deferred, we're going to lose something like 3 million barrels a day by 2023. So take those two things together, and yeah, inevitably, you know, as I said, we sow the seeds of the next boom by the consequences of our actions now. Because we're stopping exploration, we're stopping development, that then means there's going to be a shortfall at some point in the future. And the price will, you know, will rapidly rise again. So absolutely correct what you say. The second one, I agree, we still use stone now. And, you know, certainly my view is that, you know, someone will always be producing oil at some point in the future. You know, it won't totally stop. And obviously Saudi Arabia being the lowest cost producer, you'll be the last man standing. You'll be the last people producing oil. But the point, I think, of the quote is really that, you know, the principle, I think, is correct. Something will happen, new technology, something from left field, whether it's electric cars, you know, storage, changing in the energy storage, something will happen. You know, there will be the Kodak moment in the oil industry. And, you know, the huge, the demand will be disrupted significantly. Now, that doesn't mean to say there won't be any oil produced, there will be. But the industry as we know it will change, and maybe the oil age will end. Now, I think Sheikh Yamani was very brave to put a time on it. I don't think I would ever do that. But at some point in the future, I think it will happen. I think the principle is right. So the message for everyone here is, you know, you need to think about diversifying your economies. Okay, thank you.
Consumer is, how will that impact the producing countries and the price of oil, consumption of oil, until that restructuring is finished? I think there's a big gap in our knowledge about the outcome of all this drop.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. And I personally not a China expert. We do have people in the company who are China experts. But certainly my limited knowledge or view of it is obviously, you know, there's a slowdown in China, and I think that's probably likely to continue. And, you know, the fact that trying to change the economy more into a, you know, a sort of consumer society, that's definitely going to impact, you know, the demand overall on oil. So, yeah, I mean, that's factored in. We have a macroeconomics team who, you know, produces hundreds of pages of analysis on the global oil supply and demand, and Bashar, my colleague here, would be happy to give you more information on that if you want some more information. So if you come and see us afterwards, well, no, I'm not necessarily sure it's a black hole. There's a slowing of demand for sure. I'm not sure it's a black hole.
We're there during the mid-80s crisis. I remember we stopped flying overseas and so on. In a meeting like this, very high-level people were talking about the long stay of low price. Then being so much close to dramatic actions in the Middle East during the 70s, we saw how oil price came from 5, 6, all the way to 40. And nowadays, it could be something can happen to make it come in a few weeks to level or reach level. Other things would be hybrid use. And I believe they are thinking really deeply in converting their hydrocarbon resources into industry for producing valuable products rather than selling them. So one petrochemical project can convert a lot of hydrocarbons into more and more valuable products and selling it. So maybe creating new ideas and what to do with this amount of oil. You know, the gold found on my not really